The 40-man roster is full, but will all 40 men be here when spring training starts? We're going to talk about some trade possibilities and more Brendan Donovan talk on this edition of Locked on Astros.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked on Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked on Houston Astros, and we update you joints for a daily Locked on Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talk Astros. Find the show at Locked on Astros, your team every day. This is my co-host, Brett. We are the Locked on Astros podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you for becoming part of the Locked on Astros Nation. I know we like to call y'all everydayers, and we're going to have something coming up pretty soon called the Everydayers Club. And it's going to be something that you get to, you're walking down the street, you'll say, hey, are you Everydayer Club? And somebody else will be like, yeah, I'm part of the Everydayer Club. So we'll talk more about that coming up, but I know that it's Thanksgiving week. But we just wanted to kind of talk about some things that happened over the weekend, and then we'll go ahead and keep you up to know about what's going on with the Astros. And because between Brett and I, we have over 18 years of podcasting experience, and we're going to be here no matter what happens over the next week, the rest of the offseason, and into 2026. But what we do know is that the 11 players were tendered contracts on Friday. Nobody was non-tendered, so to speak. And then you had 2 players that are also signed to actual deals. So they were technically tendered and signed. Brendan Donovan, his name keeps on coming up. Also, we're hearing about Sonny Gray. Could Sonny Gray be finally coming to Houston? This is a name that we've been hearing linked to Houston Astros for a very long time. And then we could also talk about Dan Hagen's role with the Houston Astros. What's that like? And who did the Rangers non-tender? That was kind of surprising. We'll talk about that and more on tonight's Locked on Astros podcast. First of all, Brett, happy Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, definitely. And it should be a good one. We hope that everyone has a great time with their family. If you're traveling, we pray for safe travels for y'all, and that you're just able to, practice an attitude of gratitude. And you got a chance. I know there is a toy drive tomorrow. Josh Hader's having at Dyken Park. I may try to pop in over there and see what's going on. But that is a good cause to do. That's his second annual with the Astros. But, right now, the stove is hot. Maybe we've just got the stove turned on. It's not really, hasn't come to its highest level of heat yet, but we see moves across the league. I mean, today we saw Nemo traded straight up for Marcus Semien tonight, confirmed by Jeff Bassan. You talked about a non-tender with the Rangers, Adolis Garcia. And there's another Ranger that was non-tender, Jonah Heim, which would be an interesting backup.
I was going to bring his name up later.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that later. But the 11 players that they did keep, it was no surprise. It was no mystery. You did sign De Los Santos and Trammell to a 1-year contract for 2026. But the guys that you tender the contracts to, Brian Abreu, Nick Allen, Hunter Brown, Yainer Diaz, Myers, Okert, Paredes, Pena, Sanchez, Souza, and Wisniewski. No surprise there. I think it's possible that maybe some of these guys, a couple of these guys get traded, Eric. I mean, if you're looking at trade targets, if you're looking at potential trades with other teams, and we'll get to Mr. Donovan later, these are guys that, yes, they're on your roster, but they're not all, doesn't mean that they're all going to be here when the 2026 opening day gets here.
And according to Mark Feinsand, he said that De Los Santos, he got a $1.6 million deal, and he gets a $100K bonus if he appears in 60 games. And Trammell is kind of a split deal. We saw this before with another player. I can't think of his name right now, but he gets $500,000 guaranteed and $900,000 if he makes the major league roster at some point during the season. So That means that's what they call a split contract. So he has the option to start down in AAA, and if they need him, he can come up. But if he stays down in AAA the whole year, he's only going to make $500,000. But you said there's no surprises, and I get what you mean there. But there's a lot of people that thought that they were going to non-tender Jesus Sanchez. I know that if you look at COTS, they predict that he's going to make about $4.5 million. MLB trade rumors predicted that he's going to make about $5.6 million. It just depends on which ones you agree, you think about it. But I think the Astros, and I was trying to talk to Brandon about this when we did the podcast on Thursday. The Astros still think that he has value. They want to still see what he can do if given regular playing time, and maybe start fresh, and maybe with some new hitting coaches, a new philosophy, and get him back to where he was with the Marlins. But also he could be still traded because they're still trying to slash those prices and get the payroll down, because I believe the Astros are about 216.
Yes.
Here. 216 right now. So they have about 26 million or so. Sorry, it's 218 million right now. So they have about 26 million that they can play around with right now with free agency. That's not including any trades they make at this point. Of course, this does not accommodate any raises, and we'll talk about arbitration in a little bit. But all these players will have to go through arbitration. But so that number could go up or down depending on what they agree on. But definitely.
I think Sanchez has just as much chance of being on the roster opening day as he does being traded. I think it's about 50-50. If they keep him, then that means that they believe he's going to be able to turn it around. If you could get his swing and miss to be less swing and miss, you keep his head in the box, keep his head on the ball, putting more baseballs out of the park like he was doing when he was with the Marlins, then he would be an asset. But right now he is a swing and miss, free swinging, left-handed outfielder that severely underperformed this last year. But he is a guy that if he does stay, you hope that he provides for you some answers to the power that was missing, because Eric, this is not a great power hitting team. And Brendan Donovan on the left side would be good with power, but right now you've got to look at your guys like Yainer Diaz. You got to look at your guys like Jeremy Pena, Yordan Alvarez. These guys got to be healthy all year. They've got to hit 25 plus home runs, all of them. I mean, the name of the game is scoring runs, Eric. We know they missed the playoffs by one game, but we know that in 82 of their 162 games, they averaged 3 runs or less. So they've got to fill this lineup out to be more beefy, to be more run producing. And if Sanchez gets you a trade piece that brings someone in that gets you more RBI, then you make that move. And I think he's at a cheap enough price that people would take a chance on him because he has had success.
There has been interest in not only him, but also Jake Myers. So it just depends. Like Brandon and I had a conversation on Thursday. How much do we have faith in Josh? What's his last name again? The outfielder, Astros outfielder.
You talking about Zach Cole?
Zach Cole. Yeah, Zach Cole.
I was like Josh.
Yeah,
Naylor?
Josh. I guess I'm thinking of Jonah Heim, whatever. A lot of names going in my head right now. But how much do you have faith in Cole to be the center fielder? Because if you trade Jake Myers, you're going to have a situation where he's probably going to be your center fielder.
I don't think that's correct. And I'll tell you why. Cam Smith profiles as a center fielder more than Zach Cole because of Cam Smith's size, because of his speed. You've got to patrol a big area in center field. You've got to make a lot of leaping grabs. I don't think Zach Cole is that guy. I think Zach Cole is your right fielder, is your corner outfielder. I think Cam Smith, if he can move from third to right field and be a Gold Glove candidate, he can definitely move to center field and make that adjustment. I think that's what you do. Me personally, I think Zach profiles better in right. I think you can have this is granted. Jake Myers is traded. Cam Smith in center, Jacob Melton as your backup center fielder. I don't have a problem with him as a fourth outfielder. Both of those guys are tall. Both those guys have cannons for arms, and both those guys can track down a baseball.
Yeah. So I guess it just depends on what they want to do, and we'll have to figure out what's going on. But I know that we have all off season try to figure this out, and that's basically what Dana Brown has to do too. But we're not going to figure this out in one show. But guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen, and we'll go ahead and talk about a little bit about Brendan Donovan. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about Hunter Brown arbitration, what the Astros could technically do, but I don't think it's going to happen. Talk about that next.
Hey, everybody, thank y'all for tuning in to Locked On Astros this Thanksgiving week, and the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. The Rockets are on fire. The tandem of Şengün and Durant, oh my gosh, what a joy to watch. So right now, FanDuel's giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com today and sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Go ahead and make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And Brett, before the break, I'd kind of talk to kind of wrap up on the arbitration, the tender deadline. I believe that Hunter Brown is due to make about $1.2 million in his first year of arbitration. So technically what the Astros could do, I don't think that Scott Boras and Hunter Brown are going to go for it, but we've talked about what they could do. This is his first year of arbitration. He has 2 more years of arbitration. What they could technically do at this point is say, hey, Hunter, we want to work out a deal with you. Let's go and buy out your last 3 years of arbitration and go in and work out a contract extension where we go ahead and give you a little bit more money now, and then a little bit later on, maybe not quite what the market value would be, but still getting you some good money that you're supposed to be doing. Well, so if he's supposed to be making 1.2 million this year, maybe give him 5 million and maybe jump it up to 10 million or 8 million next year, then 12 million. And then do the escalators for the extension.
You could do that. Look, just as long as they don't do what the Detroit Tigers did. And, of course, they're dealing with the guy that just won back-to-back Cy Youngs. They offered him a 4-year extension for $75 million, not per year, for the 4 years. Mm-hmm. And if you know anything that is the inflated market in baseball, Tarek Skubal's going to be the highest paid pitcher in Major League Baseball history, hands down. I mean, he is going to get a lot of money. But when we talk about bringing guys on, it is a game of dollars and cents. And we know that Jim Crane is one of the more frugal, high spending owners. And I know a lot of people think he's cheap. He's not. I think he is very intentional with where his money goes. And unfortunately, with us giving $17 million this year to someone like Lance McCullers Jr., who hopefully contributes at least half a season, you've got a lot of money that you've spent that hasn't been on the field. You've been spending on players that you let go. You've been spending on players that you basically fire and say, we'll still pay you the 16, but you're not good enough to be on our team. And that's what really cramps the style of the Astros and the stylings of their roster. So Eric, I think it's really important to get someone like a Brendan Donovan. How important are you thinking? I mean, this guy's a left-handed bat. He's a left-handed hitting second baseman, can play multiple positions. Don't you think this is the guy? This is their guy until he's gone somewhere else?
I would think so. feel like he is their top target, and I know that there's other teams that are wanting him. Like I've said many times, the Astros are going to have a lot of competition for him, but he makes the most sense for the Houston Astros because they do have opening at second base, so he can play pretty much every day at second base. Jose Altuve will be playing sparingly at second base, but he'll be playing mostly DH, and he'll be playing some left field. But then you have a situation as where's Isaac Paredes going to be playing? Because if you get Donovan, then you're going to go ahead and be blocking second base a little bit. But at the same time, Donovan can play multiple positions. He can kind of take over that role that we had Mauricio Dubon playing. And so he could play multiple positions. And you can have Jose Altuve playing there, and maybe Paredes play some second base. Who knows what's going to happen? But I think that what Donovan does is what the Astros don't do a lot of. He makes good contact. He hits from the left-handed side, and he may not be a big power guy. He's not going to go out there and hit you 30 home runs, but he makes good contact. He doesn't strike out a lot, and he just gets the job done. And I just think that he's not a big chase guy. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and just embarrass himself. And I think that you need some, not only another left-handed hitter, because Jesus Sanchez was another left-handed hitter. He didn't really pan out with the Astros. Maybe in the second season he can, but I just think that Brendan Donovan profiles more as a hitter that would be good for the Houston Astros.
Well, Donovan's done it for 4 seasons, Eric, and that the proof is in the pudding. Obviously, his best season was in 2024. Well, I guess overall his best season was really this last year. But yeah, I mean, 10 to 15 home runs a year, 280 plus average, OPS close to 800. Again, he's a left-handed hitter. He's 28 years old. He's got 2 more years of arbitration left. So that will come at a price. And like you mentioned, he's a 92nd percentile and like lowest strikeout rate, 95th percentile on lowest whiff rate, top 70 percentile in chase rate. I mean, he squared up 96% of the pitches that he's seen. So this is definitely a guy that would help. And, people, while they're watching us, are like, yes, but we need pitching. I don't think, because we talk Brendan Donovan, I don't think pitching is out of it. And that's why, Eric, when you see things, and when I talked to someone today, and, not only is Brendan Donovan being considered, but someone like Sonny Gray. Would Sonny Gray be a good 2 or 3 complementary to Hunter Brown? You, of course, would need the Cardinals to take on about $10 million of his contract. And what about Wilson Contreras? I mean, they've got players over there that they would likely deal in a deal with the Astros. Of course, the Astros would have to send something back to them. And I see Arrietty's name thrown around a lot here, but I don't think if you need pitching as bad as the Astros need, that Arrietty is one of the guys that leaves. I think maybe you deal someone like a Jake Myers. It's probably going to take someone on the AAA roster like a Uola, or do the Cardinals want someone who's ready to pitch now? You know what I'm saying? So are you going to have to go pitcher for pitcher, player for player on this? But the Cardinals have assets. Do the Astros have enough? And that's the question. So with that being said, Eric, if we're talking that and that deal gets done, then I guess we can say la vie to guys like Ranger Suarez, Dylan Cease, and Michael King if we're going to go that big on Brendan Donovan with the Cardinals, right?
Yeah, that's a possibility. And somebody like Sonny Gray, he's due to make $35 million in 2026. This was a player, like I was talking about that the contract in 2024. He only made $10 million, and then 2025, $25 million, and then this year it's $35 million. And so he's coming off one of his worst seasons, but he still is a good pitcher. He's a durable pitcher. He's one of those guys that's going to go out there most of the time for you. And so there is a team option for 2027 at $30 million with a $5 million buyout. So the Astros technically could have 2 years of control if they did trade for Sonny Gray. I feel like this is a guy that the Astros have been chasing for many years. This is just every year it just seems like is this year we trade for him? But he still had 201 strikeouts last year and 180 innings, so he still has the stuff. His ERA was 4.28.
Right now, he did give up the most home runs in a 2-year period that he's given up in his career. But like you noted, 180 plus innings. His ERA was a little inflated. 200 strikeouts back-to-back seasons. He is going to be 37. Actually, no, he just turned 36. So he'll be 37 next year when we get into like World Series time. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy that really I think is, durable. He's had a couple hamstring issues, but nothing real big. He did have an arm issue in 24, but really, I mean, this guy, since he's come up with the Oakland A's back in the day, he has done well. He's given the Astros fits. I think he makes sense. The only question is, Eric, contractually, how much of this salary is it enough for the Astros to ask the Cardinals to pay 10 million of it? Are they going to ask the Astros? Are they going to ask the Cardinals to pay 15 million of it? Because that right there eats into the money that you have freed up. So if that's the case, and that's too much, and they don't think they can get a deal done for Brendan Donovan, knowing that they're kind of going all in with this Cardinals thing, then maybe a Michael King or a Ranger Suarez is a reality to come get. But then again, another counter to that is if you do get one of those big guys, you're probably not going to get a bat like Brendan Donovan. It will be interesting to me, and I will be shocked if Jim Crane does 2 deals that we're talking about in one season. I just don't see that. It's just not his tendency. He's never done that. He's not really broken the mold since he's been here.
Yeah, guys. Well, I have to go and continue this conversation next. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. And when we get back, we'll go and continue this and talk a little bit about Dan Heigen's role with the Astros and which 2 players did the Rangers just drop, and could the Astros pick them up? We'll go and talk about that next.
Hey there, Astros fans. This is H-Town Wheelhouse. The NFL season is back. If you saw the Texans take on the Bills Mafia with Mills Mafia, they won. And let's be honest, getting tickets to games like that can be a real hassle between queues, login screens, prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to you, the fans, the people that when you're in the seats, that's what gives the revenue to these teams. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price, plus all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. When you pull up the Game Time app in a couple taps, you can see NFL games as low as $100. I love the zone deals too. Pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I've ever bought tickets. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Go and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to get to 16,000 subscribers. Then from there, we're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. So this holiday season, go ahead and make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check us out. We're your team every day. Throughout this whole off season, we'll be here to guide you through whatever chaos is about to transpire. So I know we're talking a little bit about Brendan Donovan, and we brought up Sonny Gray. The reason why I think the Astros will possibly take on all of Sonny Gray's contract is Brendan Donovan is going to cost a lot because he has that trade value. He has a lot of teams are going after him. But I think what the Cardinals might be trying to do is try to find a taker that will take on the entire salary of Sonny Gray because they want to kind of offload that. And I thought that I was going to say, well, you can also include Wilson Contreras, but he's making $18 million this next 2 years. And he actually had a pretty good season this last year. But I think just Sonny Gray is not a terrible pitcher, but He's making $35 million, and I don't know if if the Cardinals really want to hold on to him for that type of money. So if you're willing to take on a pretty good chunk of that salary, if not all of it, I don't think you'll have to give up that big a prospect to add somebody like Sonny Gray. And so that's just something Dana Brown and Jim Crane will have to consider.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is why they get paid the big bucks and we don't. I see all these theories, and look, what I try to do is I try to rest in the arms of reality during this time, and it's hard to know what's real. With agents talking to reporters and reporters saying this, and I mean, even things that I hear. I mean, I've heard a lot of things over the last few years since I've done this. And I've heard legit information, and people have told me about deals that are happening that happen, and sometimes it falls through. That's the thing. I mean, you just hear the players talk about it. Bregman talked about going to Boston, where he thought they were going to Detroit, and then it changed in 5 minutes. So you never really truly know until it actually happens. I had to double check to make sure, wait, was this really a Jeff Passan tweet about Nimmo and Marcus Semien? The trade makes sense for both teams, but I mean, that was a big name that kind of came out of nowhere. Nobody had that on their bingo board for the hot stove. At the end of the day, I do believe that the Astros will go out and get Brendan Donovan, someone like him, and or a big name pitcher this offseason. I don't know that they can do both, but I think they're going to get one or the other. And if they don't go at the pitching, they're going to have to rely on guys like AJ Blueball. They're going to have to rely more on Jason Alexander. And I think that opens the door for a Justin Verlander. I still like the Justin Verlander acquisition less without another big name pitcher. I like Justin Verlander back here for a year, but I don't like him as the only guy that they add to that pitching staff.
Well, I think it just depends on Christian Javier. Christian Javier is the key factor behind all this. If he returns to Christian Javier that he was, I know even when he was kind of before the injury, he was still having some issues. He wasn't the same guy after signing the contract. But I think if he returns to the same guy that earned him that contract, I think the Astros will be fine if they bring on Justin Verlander, and let's say Spencer Arrighetti takes the next step. You have Jason Alexander continue doing what he did last year, and AJ Blueball continues to do what he did. But would I like to have another starting pitcher? Yes. Would I be disappointed if it's Sonny Gray and Justin Verlander? That's the only additions this offseason? No. I think that would be some pretty good additions. You're not replacing Framber Valdez. The Astros they're gonna have to pay a lot of money to replace Valdez. Valdez is a elite pitcher. I know somebody was dissing me on the podcast I did solo, saying I talked bad about Framber Valdez. It's not that I dislike Framber Valdez.
No,
it's just the fact that he there's a couple times, and even Joe Espada had to address this in a video he did with it was a podcast that he went on, and they talked to him about that, and he said, no, Framber Valdez is a great teammate. He goes out there and competes, and he does it. Y'all are focusing on one event, but that one event was in front of everybody. And of course, you have the everybody just replaying it, everybody focusing on that one event. And so,
well,
good.
I'll tell you this, because I've got some backing for you on this with Framber Valdez. Mike Stanton, 19-year veteran Major League Baseball. Him and I talked about this week, Eric, because I asked him, does this hurt his value? Is this something a team looks at? He goes, absolutely. He said, now what order of priority it is depends on who's looking and what they need. But they absolutely, if you're going to sign a guy to a deal like a Max Fried type deal, or a Carlos Rodon or a Garrett Crochet type of deal, you're going to absolutely look at the peripherals. You're going to look at everything. You're not just going to look at, yes, he's durable. No, he doesn't get hurt. Yes, he has spin rate, all that stuff. But yeah, they're also going to say, but he also crosses up and goes rogue on game plans that he's told this is what we're doing. Not only that, he threw a ball at a guy. I mean, he didn't exactly punch himself in the face like Ken Giles, but it's pretty bad to cross up your catcher like that and then walk it back. So I'm not saying that it is going to penalize him a huge amount, but teams will look at that, Eric. You are right. So whoever's saying, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying that. That's no disrespect to what he did in his career here as an Astro. 1,000+ strikeouts in his career, 1,000+ innings. I mean, he was phenomenal, dominant at times, one of the nastiest in the game. But yeah, those intangibles, just like Mauricio Dubon, he may not be the most valuable guy with the bat, but what you're going to be losing out of the clubhouse with not having him, Eric, that's a difference maker in the clubhouse. He is the glue that holds things together. So all these things have to be considered, especially if you're a club that's going to commit 25 to 30+ million to a pitcher for 5 or 6 years.
We didn't get really a lot of time to talk about this because I didn't realize that it was already almost time for the show to be over. But Dan Heinigen, he's one of the new Astros hitting coaches, so to speak, but he's going to be more of a offensive coordinator. He's going to be in the booth. He's going to be having a headset, and he's basically going to be working with the hitting coaches and basically giving them input during a game. And we'll have to talk about this more in tomorrow's podcast. But if you haven't watched Chandler's Rome podcast, he was on there and he kind of talked about everything. But he basically kind of gave the idea of what they want to do to fix stuff for this offseason. So I want to spend some more time on this, but so we'll save that for tomorrow. But real quickly, Adolis Garcia. A, do the Astros sign him? And B, does he go?
Eric,
does he get another job somewhere?
Eric, okay. Do you want people talking bad about you in the comments? No. Adolis Garcia will never, ever grace Dyken
His
Park.
head won't fit in
an Astros
ballpark.
Yeah, his head. Aroydis Garcia will not be here. Look, dude, this was an ALCS MVP in 23.
I know.
I mean, this is a guy that can hit the heck out of the ball, but he also has a big swing and miss. It will never happen. Okay. It just is not going to happen. But
some team will take a risk on him. And
not
I
us.
just don't think it's that he's an Astros.
Now, if someone proves to me that the earth is flat, then I'll believe Adolis becomes an Astro. But until that happens, I'm sorry. Adolis, sorry, buddy, you're not. No Adolis, no JV. Oh, come on.
Yeah, some people are still anti-JV.
Emilio has got some serious hate for JV. I see how it is. When he comes back and throws a no-hitter at 40, 45 or 48, whatever he is, we'll be seeing who's cheering for. I'm joking. But hey, Eric, good show. And yeah, I'm excited.
Real quick, Jonah Heim. Jonah Heim is somebody that I would think that the Astros might take a look at as a backup catcher. Maybe he's because he's a pretty good defensive catcher.
He's one of the best pitch framers. Yeah. No, yeah. Did I mention that earlier? I think I talked about it earlier. I know you and I mentioned it prior to recording. But yeah, Jonah Heim, I don't have a problem with Jonah Heim coming in. That is if Victor Caratini's not brought back.
Right. Yeah, I think Victor Caratini is the primary target, but this is another option. So, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go make us first listen Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. And we'll be back tomorrow. And hopefully you're getting everything ready for Thanksgiving to celebrate with your family and loved ones. And we'll see you later.
Go Stros.
Adolis Garcia, his head won't fit at Dyken Park. That was funny.